welcome back to another Railfanning adventure. This one's going to be a very special adventure as we're going to be taking a trip further than we ever have to do any sort of railfan adventure like this, and it's going to be in 3 individual parts, I believe. So let's go ahead and let's get started, and we have some really cool new features that I think you guys are going to enjoy. Before we begin, I would like to introduce to you a new tool that will be used to figure out where exactly I'm going on railfan trips. It is called the TGC Tracker. We'll zoom into Decatur, Alabama here, but we're going to need a little bit of help, so let me introduce to you my little friend. Say hello, little me.
I'm ready to see blue Jeebos.
No, where we're going, there will be no blue Jeebos, or at least I hope not.
Oh, darn it.
We start our journey here in Decatur, Alabama as we're meeting our friend Elijah here for lunch. Just after 1 o'clock, we finish our lunch and begin making our way westbound out of Decatur. Within about an hour, we cross into Mississippi. Through Corinth, we continue on US 72 all the way to Tennessee. And by Tennessee, I mean the south side of Memphis, as that's basically all we're going to see out of Tennessee. Anyways, we find ourselves at the mighty Mississippi River, and we see a westbound UP manifest waiting to get a signal on the west side of the river. Ironically, this has a CSX SD70 Mac leading, but we did not stop for it. We're now in Arkansas, and we're going to take US 64 to follow the UP Memphis sub. We make a stop in a little town called McCrory, Arkansas to see a line of stored UP motors. The westernmost engine is UP 2002, the Salt Lake City Olympic unit. After that, we continue over to Bald Knob and get on the new southern part of I-57 and are en route to Little Rock. We stop to get dinner in Little Rock, and we meet up with Clay and Ben, the other 2 railfans on the trip with us. After dinner, we continue down I-30 to Hot Springs, where we make the turn westward. Traveling through the Ouachita National Forest, we arrive in Mena, Arkansas just after 9:30 p.m. This is our base for the next 3 days, as we're here to railfan the CPKC Shreveport Subdivision. Notably, we will be primarily watching atop Rich Mountain, a well-known railfan hotspot for a really good action. After we arrived, Ben, Clay, and myself went out trackside to see if we can find any spots in Mena that could suffice if we had to go out for any trains at night while Elijah worked on some of his stuff for his weather forecasting business. And we heard that there was a train coming down the mountain, but it was going to be a little bit. So conveniently, the best spot we found for lighting was right next to Walmart. So, since it was about to close, we went ahead and made a Walmart run to where we didn't have to do it the next morning. After finishing up at Walmart, we went back to our spot by the Mena intermediate signal to wait on the southbound. After a short wait, we heard the Milepost 374 defect detector, followed by the signal lighting up red, as CPKC's signals are approach lit. And in just a few short minutes, a southbound breaks the silence of the night. Southbound loaded grain train number 362 clears the Mena signal on its way towards Ashdown, Arkansas. How funny, first train we see has the exact number of our eastbound NS manifest we usually see back home. Anyways, the lead motor is a special treat, KCS 1776, one of CPKC's 5 units commemorating the 250th anniversary of the United States. Pretty good start to our trip if you ask me. As you can see, we run these grains here 2x2. They need a lot of power to get over Rich Mountain. But before we continue on, let's talk a little bit more in depth about the CPKC Shreveport Subdivision. The CPKC Shreveport Subdivision is a vital part of CPKC's north-south route, connecting Canada and the Midwestern United States with various markets along the Gulf Coast and even into Mexico. The line's origins trace back to the late 19th century, originally part of the Kansas City, Pittsburgh, and Gulf Railway. Interestingly, several towns were named after prominent Dutch investors who helped fund the building of the line. At the turn of the 20th century, a bunch of things happened and the line became part of the Kansas City Southern Railway Company, and it remained that way until 2023, when, as you all probably remember, Canadian Pacific purchased KCS, and the purchase was completed to form the Canadian Pacific Kansas City Railway, or CPKC. From north to south, the Shreveport subdivision starts in Heavener, Oklahoma, around the milepost 338. The first 30 or 40 miles or so of the line are probably the most well-known among rail fans as we begin to climb into Arkansas atop Rich Mountain, then glide down towards Mena, Arkansas. The line continues south toward DeQueen and Ashdown, Arkansas, and heads towards Texarkana. It's at Texarkana where all these BNSF coal trains we're going to see transfer back to the BNSF. The line briefly continues into Texas, then makes its way into Louisiana, where we of course reach the namesake city of Shreveport, milepost 553. If you like math, that's about over 210 miles. From Shreveport, most trains that come off the Shreveport sub, if they continue, they make their way south onto the Beaumont subdivision. For our adventure, we'll be mainly between Mena and Heavener, on the Rich Mountain stretch. It's now Thursday, and we're up on Rich Mountain, at the north end of the Rich Mountain siding. There's a northbound in the hole, and we have a southbound on the way, as evident by this clear signal. Southbound manifest CPKC 280 finishes its climb up the grade with a nice P3 horn on the lead motor, CP8613, an AC 4400 CW. The northbound is now ready to go, and here it comes. Northbound empty coal 733, CPKC 867, takes the switch at the north end of Rich Mountain to head back towards the BNSF at Kansas City. I said 733 because if you don't pay attention to the reporting marks and the trailing motors, it looks almost exactly like our empty coals we have on NS at home. Those are RWSX and TVAX hoppers. Generally, these are TXUX hoppers. We will see plenty of these trains during our time out here, and they're going to make us feel just at home. We made our way down to the siding at Page, Oklahoma, but another southbound manifest was already there waiting on the empty coal. Seeing as we had already seen the empty, we went back up to the first private crossing on the Arkansas side of the mountain to wait on it. Our second southbound manifest of the day, CPKC 262, charges Rich Mountain. As is consistent on the mountain here, we have a colorful power set with a CPAC 44 rebuild number 8139 leading a KCS SD70 Ace, and to be seen later a CP SD70 ACU as the mid DP. We'd rather have one of those trailing motors with the DP leading, but that's fine, we get a colorful power set. And now, for the first time in my life, we're crossing into Oklahoma. Let me tell you, you may see some interesting signs along the road while you're out here, like this one. Don't pick up any hitchhikers. Anyways, we've made it down to Page, Oklahoma, the first siding out of Heavener. That northbound empty's tied down as Heavener's unable to take it. Meanwhile, we have a southbound on the approach. Our southbound here is the hot shot of the line, CPKC 180, a daily stack train out of Chicago, Bensenville, Illinois, headed to San Luis Potosi, Mexico. A pair of KCS Jibos power the train today. This is one of the more interesting stack trains we're going to see on the trip, as it starts out as all intermodal, then has a cut of auto racks, which is pretty common on 180, then some more intermodal, then some more auto racks, then a little bit of mixed manifest intermixed with some more racks, ending with a small intermodal block there on the end. Very interesting blocking, but always nice to see a stack train out here. We've made it down to Heavener, Oklahoma, and we finally meet up with Clay and Ben for the day, as they got out super early and went more towards the Heavener subdivision on the north side of town. After we have lunch with them, we get trackside here in Heavener, and we see a southbound coal train waiting on the DPs to be filled up with fuel, but we have another southbound coming up on the side of it. We have another loaded grain train making its way south. Funny enough, this one is also CPKC 362, but instead of going to Ashdown, this one's going to DeQueen, Arkansas, as we heard on the radio. The leader is also very interesting. A UP Jibo, number 5451, with a nice narrow font 2-piece K5HL, also known by some in our group as a 210. We also learned very quickly grain is a key commodity on this line, as it seems we heard at least 2 to 4 loaded grains and 2 to 4 more empty grains each day during our time out here. This also goes for those coal trains that I mentioned earlier. With action seeming light the rest of the day, we decided to chase 362 back up towards the mountain. Here we are at Zoe, Oklahoma, home to the 347 defect detector, and just in time to see the UPGVO again. And now we're back in Arkansas, on the other side of the mountain, and we find ourselves at Eagleton, which hosts a very nice set of curves for both northbounds and southbounds. We'll catch 362 here one more time. I think that's a good stopping point there here at Eagleton for this part one here on CPKC on the Shreveport Subdivision. The first day was quite a bit of fun, and even the first night there getting 1776 got a lot of interesting shots, quite a few good trains. Obviously the count's not going to be as high here just because they don't have as much volume, but the quality of trains that you're going to see is a lot better than what we would generally have at home with CSX and NS all the time. But anyways, that's just a sample serving of what we're going to be seeing throughout these next few days on this trip. We've got a lot more in store for you. Hopefully you enjoyed the new features like the map with my face on it. That was a lot of fun, and the map of the CPKC Shreveport Subdivision. Hopefully we'll be able to do a lot more of that now that I've learned how to do that in my editing software. So that'll be a lot of fun. But thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, be sure to like the video. If you want to see more content like this, if you want to see parts 2 and 3, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell for any notifications for the next parts of this video that come your way. We've got, again, a lot more in store, a lot of really awesome trains and some cool surprises up here on Rich Mountain. So once again, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in part 2. Have a good one.